Hello and welcome to CISO Unscripted. This is a series where we tackle the hottest cybersecurity trends and the headlines and provide you with Unit 42's practical strategies to defend against emerging threats and the adversaries driving them. I am your host, Mitch Mayne from Unit 42. Today, I am talking to Wendi Whitmore. Wendy is the Chief Security Intelligence Officer at Palo Alto Networks, where she leads our efforts to transform complex cyber threats into actionable intelligence. Wendy's got over 2 decades of experience and has built and led incident response teams and threat intelligence teams, and she's helped respond to some of the most significant breaches in the world. And as a side note, Wendy and I are old colleagues from a former job, so it is very much my pleasure to have you on the show today, Wendy.
Great to be here. Great to see you.
So, Wendy, I want to talk about AI today. Everybody is talking about AI's promise, what it can deliver, and where it's going to bring us for the next couple of years. But not everybody is addressing what I think of as sort of the risk hiding in plain sight. And this is where organizations are implementing instances of AI into the very core of their business to drive transformation and automation. But it is also these very installations themselves that are becoming targets and potentially an insider threat because threat actors are looking at them. So I want to cover 4 angles here today. Number 1, how attackers are currently using AI to become faster and harder to detect. Number 2, why AI systems themselves are becoming the targets inside organizations as they deploy them. Number 3, what it means when AI turns from a helper to an insider threat. And last, of course, and not least, what security leaders should be thinking about to protect both their data and their AI-powered workflows. So let's dive in. Let's start with the basics. It's going to be fun. Talk about how threat actors are using AI today.
So one of the areas I like to talk about is what I call the AI before times. And I think we're very much in those times right now. So today, before I talk about what attackers are using, I want to talk about how defenders are using it, because I think we're in this space where defenders have implemented AI throughout workflows, throughout new technology and tooling in a way that's really enabling them to identify and detect and respond to threats faster. And so today we have a little bit of this where the defense is here and the attackers are still about here. So what are we seeing? We're seeing them on a daily, hourly, by the minute basis, seeing attackers use AI for social engineering components of their attacks to improve communications, whether those are written or verbal communications. We're certainly to some degree seeing them use video capabilities for deepfakes. An example of that would be the North Korean employment scams, where we are seeing those threat actors use a lot of video in a pretty advanced capacity. But what we're not seeing in mass right now are, I think, some of the more sophisticated threats where we're seeing LLMs used to aggressively go after organizations and attack them without any human interaction or intervention. One other area that we are seeing, though, is that attackers, once they get inside an organization, so a victim organization, they are often very quickly now going straight to whatever the internal LLM that organization is using and leveraging that to gain information very rapidly. And that's accelerating the speed of the attacks that they're conducting.
So this is very interesting and kind of where I want to go with this. So you're saying that threat actors are a little bit behind organizations when it comes to their own skills using LLMs and AI to make attacks, but AI itself, when it's being deployed inside a company, is now becoming a target. How and why is that happening?
Well, if you think about the rich data sets that exist within these internal LLMs, they're really carrying the keys to the kingdom in many regards. So if you're an attacker who's looking to understand how an organization operates, what their most secure and sensitive data is, and you're looking to command the highest return on investment in terms of if you've got, a monetary threat that you're hoping to get back from an organization, an LLM really is going to be a vast source of data that you can get access to and then leverage it really quickly and rapidly to get the data that you need.
So I don't like this term, but so this has sort of become the new crown jewel, if you will, inside organizations, is these new deployments of AI and LLMs.
Well, certainly in terms of sensitive data being available. So I think that organizations, when they're looking at deploying AI and what data sources we're going to put in them, we have to be thinking about secure by design from the very beginning because of that, because they are such rich data sets. And by nature of that, they're going to be, a source that the attackers want to immediately visit.
Okay, that actually makes sense. So this is a new threat, right? It's like AI is a new thing, and a lot of these implementations that are happening are transforming business, and they're a new direction relatively in the last year or a few years. When a CISO has a conversation with other executive leadership or with stakeholders or with a board of directors, how should they frame this threat? What should they be saying?
I would be talking to boards, explaining to them that AI is really the new threat frontier. Yes, it's a fantastic tool and capability that we can leverage to make workflows more efficient, to automate at like the scale of the workflows that so many of us are experienced and working at today. We can leverage that in such a positive way. But at the same time, it is creating a disadvantage in terms of speed for the attackers because they not only can leverage the same tools, but they don't have the same restrictions, which is not a new thing. But think about how AI fuels this even more, right? So attackers don't need to worry about their jurisdiction. They don't need to worry about workflows or maybe stepping on someone else's, coworker's toes in terms of, hey, that's not a tool that's approved. They've got access to everything. And so with that thought in mind, we really need to be implementing security from a defensive perspective that enables organizations to detect at the speed of attackers, ideally to get in front of that, to be even faster, and then to be able to make decisions based on that, to lock down environments, to not enable certain commands to be executed, for example, so that we can then limit the effectiveness of attackers.
Right. You also mentioned a couple of things, the North Korea employment scams, as well as the social engineering. And we have great reports out on the Threat Research Center for both of those things. So I want to give a plug to those. So last thing that I want to talk about before I let you go is if you had a CISO in front of you right now, what would you tell that individual to be thinking about and acting on in this moment?
Well, first, so the CISO and the CIO. So I'm going to talk to that because I think broadly, the first challenge is every CISO and CIO has employees within their organization that want to deploy AI as far and wide as possible. And that's great from an efficiency perspective, but those deployments and implementation has to be locked down. They've got to have AI runtime security implemented so that they can detect when sensitive data, is potentially being exposed, when code that's being created in their environment will potentially have vulnerabilities, and really integrate AI security into their workflow from the very beginning. That's critical. So once we have that done, then it's really about what I referenced with speed. So leveraging AI to improve workflows, improve tooling, automate as much as possible within the security operations center so that you can detect rapidly and quickly. And then to the degree that we can leverage that automation to also stop those bad activities in real time, that's the kind of thing we want to be doing so that you can use your smartest, brightest people to be solving the much more difficult, hard problems that require human intervention. And if we can employ those two strategies, I think most organizations are going to be in a much better spot, certainly relative to their peers, relative to the rest of the industry. And that's really what the win is about, is making it more difficult for the attacker to conduct their activities and easier for the good guys to win.
I love that. You boiled it down to two simple strategies, which is awesome. All of us need simplicity in our lives, especially around complex problems like this. So I appreciate that perspective. Wendy, thank you for being on the show today. I really appreciate your time. And it's always a pleasure to talk to you. And for those of you watching, you can sign up for the Threat Bulletin, which will download this video as well as other content directly into your inbox every month. Button at the top of the page. Again, Wendy, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Mitch. Appreciate it.